First major videos was about it was about the 14, about all the different fentanyl analogs there are, you guys, because there is so many different analogs. Like, it's actually quite amazing. There's literally like 1,400 different analogs, but probably more now. That's just the ones that the DEA recognizes, because literally these chemists overseas in China, India, they literally will just split the molecule, and it'll, instead of methyl 1 fentanyl, it'll be diacetyl methyl 2 fentanyl, or whatever the case may be. So really, the reality is, you guys, is like, yes, the media says fentanyl, 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 but they don't know what it is. Even if it's some crazy fentanyl analog, they're just gonna say fentanyl, but you really don't know what you're getting. You could be getting diacetyl fentanyl, you could be getting carfentanil, you can be getting furanol fentanyl, methyl fentanyl, xylazine, mesatonazine, isotonazine. Here is a list of all fentanyl analogs. So just so you guys get a picture of this. So look, let's look. Okay, this is not a comprehensive listing of all fentanyl analogs, as more than 1,400 different compounds from this family have been described in scientific and patient literature, but it includes all notable compounds that have reached late-stage human clinical trials or have been identified as of being sold as designer drugs. So let's just take a quick look at this list. So first on the list, 2,5-dimethyl fentanyl. Number 2, 2,2-difluorofentanyl. No, difluorofentanyl. 3-allyfentanyl, allyl-fentanyl. 3-fluorofentanyl. 3-furanol-fentanyl. 3-methylbutyrylfentanyl. 3-methylcrotonylfentanyl. Man, it's a trip trying to pronounce all these, man. Let's go down the list and see some interesting ones. Phenylfentanyl, methoxybutyrylfentanyl, acrylfentanyl, methylacetylfentanyl, benzodioxylfentanyl, benzolethylfentanyl. And no, that's not a benzylfentanyl. Look at this weird one. BDM 50 223545 fentanyl. It's called burger fentanyl. Oh yeah, there is a way called the burger method. Well, we're gonna touch on that in a second. That's a different way you actually produce the fentanyl. B-hydroxyfentanyl, bromphene, butyrylfentanyl, brifentanyl, carfentanil, crotonal fentanyl, isobutyrylfentanyl, okay. See, and this one I think is like an isotonazine derivative. I could be wrong. Fentanyl carbamate. This is just wild, isn't it, you guys? Like, it's kind of amazing that there's this many analogs. NMDA fentanyl, N2CB fentanyl. Wow, you guys there's a drug called 2CB. It's kind of funny there's a 2CB fentanyl. I did not know that. Interesting. I don't know if you guys have done 2CB. It's kind of like a designer club drug. It's like a synthetic ecstasy type thing. And here's where it gets crazy. Like, down in Florida, they had one called U4770. So this is R3490. There's ones that are just numbers too. Remy fentanyl. That Remy Martin fentanyl, y'all. That Remy Martin. SR1642. Seco fentanyl. Tetrahydrofuranol fentanyl. Damn, that's like almost like THC. I wonder if you get the munchies off this one. tetrahydrofuranylfentanyl is an opioid analgesic that is an analog of fentanyl and has been sold online as a designer drug, first appearing in Europe in late 2016. Oh, I didn't even know it. You could go over these and look. An opioid okay. Most of these are designer drugs. Analog of fentanyl, where the phenylamine side chain has been replaced by the thiomethyl group. It is temporarily scheduled by the drug DEA in 1985 due to fears it was a designer drug. But in 2010, DEA acknowledges it's essentially inactive. Subsequently, the drug has been deregulated. Okay. So a lot of these probably aren't even being like sent, like these aren't like, yes, there are 1,400 different analogs, but there are like more common ones, if that makes sense. Like typically the common ones, and we'll get to that right now. Go to that in a second. So here, let's just look. Common fentanyl analogs 2020. I'll just do 2022 since it's early in the year. What are the most common fentanyl analogs? Acetylfentanyl, furanylfentanyl, and carfentanil. So, and this is what I was talking about, you guys. So, like, they're similar in chemical structure to fentanyl, but are not routinely detected because specialized toxicology testing is required. And see, you guys, that's my whole point of this video, is when you see these things in the news, like fentanyl, the thing that's destroying our nation, and all this stuff and like that, and this, that, and the third. The reason why they're not detecting it is because it has to be brought to a special lab to be detected. So basically, we don't know what we're getting. Yes, you can get a little test strip to see if it's fentanyl, but you literally do not know what analog it is. And the thing why that's so dangerous is because it's not like back in the day when it was like, okay, the heroin was either black tar or number 4, China white. And these analogs vary so greatly that one may have a 20-hour half-life, one may have a 12-hour half-life, one might have a 56-hour half-life. Some have different onsets. Some are, kind of mild, some spike high and then drop really fast. So there's no way you can safely gauge this stuff. Like back in the day, like if you overdosed, it was because you did something wrong. It was because you did too much. You didn't sample it first, whatever the case may be. And that's why I tell you guys, like the main thing on this channel, I try to, push and tell people is, if you are using, be very safe. Like if you're going to use fentanyl, which is really stupid if you think about it, and I highly suggest you don't, but if you're going to do it, probably the safest way is to take a tiny little piece, put it on tinfoil, smoke it, and wait for like 20 minutes and kind of notice how that affects you. If you take one rip and you're like nodding out, I would be I would maybe even put your own cut in it or something, or just know that, okay, definitely cannot IV this. Definitely need to like take one hit like every 5 hours, or like whatever the case may be. And no, you guys, I'm not promoting using. This is a harm reduction tactic. If you're in active addiction, you're in active addiction. Like I'm not going to be able to tell you not to do it. Your parents ain't going to tell you about to do it. The law ain't about to tell you not to do it. So I sure as hell ain't about to tell you not to do it. I'm trying to tell you guys how to do this more safely. So that's my take on it. But I digress. So we're going to go into xylazine. So you guys know, or well, maybe you guys don't know. So on the East Coast, primarily Kensington, Pennsylvania, Kensington is like an area of Philadelphia. It's known as the biggest open air drug market in the United States. Literally, you just see hundreds, if not thousands, of people just like slouching over. They look like zombies. It's bad. It's like a serious problem, you guys. And like I think like 70% of the supply in Kensington is xylazine. Now, I don't know why specifically xylazine is in that part. Maybe it's because it's like Philadelphia is like near the coast and stuff's coming in from China. I don't know. But let's look about a little bit about xylazine. So, xylazine is a non-opiate. Oh shit, sorry guys. Xylazine is a non-opiate used as a sedative. Oh, okay. Okay, wow. Okay, xylazine is different. Okay. Okay, wow, I was wrong. Okay, no. Xylazine is a non-opiate used as a anesthetic muscle relaxant for animals. It is a strong synthetic alpha 2 androgenic agonist, not approved for human use due to severe CNS depressant effects. A colorless liquid in veterinary formulations, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't know that, man. Xylazine's presence in the drug supply can change in the clinical presentation and decisions about opioid overdose management. When mixed with other depressants, alcohol, benzodiazepines, fentanyl, the risk of overdose greatly increases. Wow. So, okay, but there are other drugs like mesatonazine that are opiates. So I'm a little confused. Huh. Why is it turning up in street drugs? Most likely to increase bulk and enhance the effects of the drugs. Canadian Center on Substance Use Addiction lists xylazine as a common cutting agent found in substance thought to be opioids. So it's big in British Columbia too. So this is what tranq dope is, you guys, which I'm sure a lot of you guys probably are aware of. Um, Xylazine can potentiate the effects of other depressants. So yeah, this is kind of like similar to benzo dope, but it doesn't make sense because xylazine isn't a benzo. It's just a straight up tranquilizer. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't even realize that. I thought xylazine was an analog of fentanyl. So that's interesting, man. But if you guys haven't checked out the channel, Morals Over Money, he films a lot of stuff in Kensington and stuff like that. I highly suggest you check that out. But what I was gonna say was also about these fentanyl analogs, you guys, is they literally could be the extinction of suboxone. And why do I say that? Because as fentanyl becomes more and more popular, um, it is a lipophilic drug, which basically means that it crosses the blood-brain barrier faster than a normal opioid. It gets stuck into your muscle tissue very quickly. So if you've been a long time user of this drug, like it literally just like lingers in your fat, in your muscle tissue, probably in your bones. And I know a friend of mine from Arizona, and she was doing this stuff but she said it was isotonazine. It had isotonazine in it, and she literally didn't get sick until 3 days after she used. She tried to induce into suboxone after 27 days of not using, and she still went into precipitated withdrawals. So if these kind of drugs become like the most popular thing on the street, then suboxone isn't even going to be able to work. We're going to have to switch to a system like Canada does, where they'll give people prescriptions for Dilaudid. They'll give people morphine prescriptions, and it's just like methadone or suboxone, except they get a morphine or Dilaudid prescription. Kind of interesting, actually. I think that's really progressive, and I really like that. I think that truly would help. I think legalizing drugs would totally get rid of this whole problem, but we're probably not going to see that in our lifetime. I hope we do, but yeah. So now to the next topic, you guys. We're not gonna stay on this too long, but this rainbow fentanyl. DEA warns of brightly colored fentanyl used to target young Americans. So they're saying, okay, guys, the cartel, they're targeting children, not the children. And I'm gonna have to highly disagree with that fact and that narrative, because why I think they're colored this way, they're probably, and I'm not even kidding you on this, they're probably putting these in like Skittles containers, ripping open a Skittles container and then like gluing it back together, just whatever, closing it however they do it. And it's most likely like disguised as a candy, and that's just a way they smuggle it in. It has nothing to do with kids. It has nothing to do with that. Like, they don't need, believe me, the cartel does not need to do anything like that to appeal to kids, because they sell enough as it is. And I mean, maybe that's their intent, but no, I guarantee you they're just being blended in as candy. But wow, it's just so crazy how like in the beginning they like really tried to like make these fake pills look like the real things, and it's like, oh, 2023, here we are, we got Skittles, I think, or I mean, those are so bad, dude. Those are like a 3 out of 10. So Drug Enforcement Agency, colorful fentanyl is available across the United States. Law enforcement partners seized brightly colored fentanyl pills in 26 states, dubbed rainbow fentanyl in the media. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, there's like rainbow chunks of fentanyl too. So it could just be the fentanyl that they're putting in the pills are the reason that it's that color. Because I've seen like pictures from the DEA website where it's like chunks of like yellow and like green fentanyl. So our next topic of conversation, we won't sit on this too long either, but this is basically just the whole phenomenon of China. You know how I said earlier in the video, like, 2013, 2014, 2015, most of the fentanyl that was coming in the United States was coming from people ordering it from China and having it mailed here. That was like 90% of where the fentanyl was coming from. Well, since then, China has gotten stricter on their regulations, because like in the United States, we have, what is it? It's like, we have like an umbrella law for like, we have, it's the Analog Act. It's the United States Analog Act, and it basically covers, so basically if a drug is close to or similar, it's illegal federally. But the thing is, on the state level, it's not, if that makes sense. Well, so like on the state level, it's not. So let's say you get pulled over with some random fentanyl analog and it's not testing positive for fentanyl. Like, let's say the officer does a little dipstick test and it doesn't come back for anything. They send it to a lab, they don't know what it is. Then you're not going to get charged with anything. But since China clamped down on those laws, what started to happen is the Mexican cartels are buying large amounts of these precursors from China, and then they're just whipping it up in Mexico. And they're also buying it from India, and they're also buying the precursors to methamphetamine from China. So I looked at this earlier and I thought it was kind of interesting, you guys. So apparently, let's read this real quick. So it says fentanyl is one of the major contributing drugs to the opioid crisis in North America. It is the one. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimated that in a 12-month period ending in October 2021, more than 150,000 people, 105,000 died of overdoses. 66% of those deaths related to synthetic opioids, including fentanyl and analogs. It can be manufactured in a variety of different synthesis methods, each of which involved the specific use of precursor chemicals. I apologize about my speech, you guys. My speech has been getting really messed up from my benzo withdrawal, so I apologize about that. I'm kind of finicky with words and stuff. So there's two main precursors, N-phenylpyridone and 4-N-phenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylp guess there's three major selected methods for the synthesis of fentanyl. There's the Janssen method, the Siegfried method, and Gupta et al. I'm guessing that's the cartel. Gupta et al. So this one is 4-PPP, or no, I don't know, whatever. So then 4-APP, ANPP, and then straight to fentanyl. See, in this Janssen method, they got to use a lot of different synthesis methods to get the fentanyl. So that's interesting. Placing precursors